All right, welcome back to the Supercoach Nuff channel. In today's video, we're looking at the NRL Fantasy and Sportsdeck sides after round 13. So as you can see at the time of recording, there's a little technical glitch with um, the NRL Fantasy. So the lockout is still on, but we can see our result for the round, which was 611 points. Which surprisingly actually moved us up spots. I thought maybe with playing only 12 we'd get left behind, but from around 12, if I just go back for a second, we were ranked 22,000th and now we're into the 16,000. So about 5,500 spots. Our round rank was quite high too, 13k out of the 200,000 that are playing. And yeah, so if we have a look at the side, we had Damien Cook obviously got a rare start with Harry Grant out this week, and he got a 60. As it turned out, we got the same score, vice captain and captain, so it could have gone either way. Still wasn't quite our highest, but they were probably the two best chances, and they did what we thought they would do. Wiremu Greg though was massive with the 56, so um, as I talked about in my super coach review, the reason why we picked players like him was for these sort of weeks, and to deliver the points then is absolutely brilliant. Um, so Fano, who was one of our trade-ins this week, he returned the faith as well with a 47, which for a bottom dollar cheapie is really good. I didn't check his minutes whether he played the full 80 or not, but the price or the score would suggest that he's done enough regardless of how much time he's spent on the field. And Jermaine Hopgood, he scored a 60, which we got as our captain score. So um, pretty much what we expected from him, just a workhorse type job. We got Jackson Ford with the 35 and Jack Kajeski with the 31. So pretty sure Kajeski started off the bench. So it's probably one we want to try to get out of if we can this week. Um, Jackson Ford as well. We could potentially upgrade him to like Fafita, for example, lock down that gun. Um, Probably going to lean more towards Nicara just because of the cheaper price at the moment. Um, but again, we'll just see how the other sort of trades balance out once we can get in and actually play around with it. The halves, obviously, with Cleary and Hines both missing, we had I think all of a sudden it's just opened up. Lovely. Round 14's just popped up here on the screen. Brilliant. live, live unlocking. How good. So Cody Nikorima and Katoa, the Dolphins halves, so 30 and 21. I guess that's why we held Katoa and we did bring Nikorima in was for a bit of cash gen, but also we knew that he'd be very valuable this week. Alabody was on the bye, so that was the sort of starting spot we didn't have covered this week, but he's going to provide good coverage throughout the rest of the season. Lemuelu with 56, so having that second rower in the centres is always a nice way to get a solid score. And then our backline, so Garrick with the 39. In what was a losing side, that's okay. Ponga with a 45. So, he's a good get, I think, in this week. And Nickel Klokstad with a 71. So, I guess finally getting rewarded for the work he does. And so I don't know what's happened there, but I've lost a bit of my money too. I thought I had more than that, but apparently not. Maybe that was. Oh, there we go. Now I've got 556. Crazy. Don't know what's going on here. And they're giving us 4 trades this week, which is very tempting. But going to try to get away with just using 2. But as I said, I might be tempted into the third. So what I need to do first is I'll swing Gajeski on the bench. Is probably the easiest way. And so then if we make our trades, so I guess I wanted to make 2 trades this week. So Gajeski I think has to go given his roles now reverted back to that bench role. And also I think we need to get out of Katoa. So Nikorima I think still has a bit of cash to make, but Katoa's job's done for us. He's made 200k, started to dip off a little bit, but that's fine. Um, and so the players that we want to bring in, we can probably filter by club. And they're both from the Bulldogs. So we're going to bring in Matt Burton and Jacob Kiraz. So if we make those two trades, because you can only make two at a time anyway. All right. So I guess having both these players offers that buy coverage in round 16 and 19. Although news came out earlier today that Latrell's out for Origin 1, which means Birdo's going over as the 18th man. So it'll be interesting to see how that sort of plays out. But even, if, and I know there was a bit of an injury cloud around Nathan Cleary too, so he might actually find his way onto the bench. But you'd assume that Latrell will get up for the next game, which means Burton should be available for the Dogs. And Kiraz, we've often talked about as a target for round 14, given he's peaked or he's bottomed out in price and should be ripe for the picking. So if we have a look at how the team would shape up, we could put Harry Grant in the starting team, or he could just stay there, to be honest. We don't have anyone in the middle, so we do need to do a little bit of finessing here. Hopefully Yo backs up. And then, so we need to bring Manu in here. As I said, there's a bit of finessing to go on. We need to put Lemu Elu in the centres so that we can put Jackson Ford into the front row. And then, obviously, we're going to go Cleary and Hines as our combination in the halves. And then we've got Buller and Kiraz. So I've just realised that we've got 5 players on the bye this week, which has left us a bit short. Excuse me there. And we'll slide Fanu down the list. But just looking at this, it's one of those things. Do we want to run the gauntlet on a slightly undermanned squad? Because I guess Fanu will good hold for 16, and obviously we'll make some more money if he can hold that edge spot. Weir McGregor is going to make some more money, and we brought him in for the buy coverage. Same sort of deal with these guys, I suppose. Ponga and Garrick. Ponga in particular is probably going to make us a bit of money. So, we could get out of Garrick if we absolutely had to, but I think we'll just sit and hold for the time being. And, we'll just run with 16 this week. In terms of captain, vice captain, we'll go back to the usual routine, but we'll back Cleary in against the Dragons, and Nico can just be VC in case Cleary gets rested post Origin. So yeah, so that's how the team will probably look. We'll move Birdo up. He serves that spot, I suppose. And yeah, so I guess, as well with 8 trades left, and, we've still got a couple of guns like for Haas and for Feeder we want to bring in, ideally. Whether we can afford for Feeder, like I said, we may have to go a cut price option like a Nikura in the second row. And then the other one is I guess fairly somewhat obvious, but Tommy Turbo, after his massive score the other week, he's going to make us some money. So if we could bring him in, but as you can see, we are fairly well stacked in the back line, wing fullback at the moment, with Clockstad, Kiraz, Buller, who's still playing well and is really good at buy coverage, Ponga and Garrick, which will cover around 16 as well. So yeah, so finding a spot for Turbo might actually be a bit trickier than I thought. Maybe Nikarima, I think, is the odd man out, just having a look through. Yeah, so probably next week, yeah, we've got the money to make that trade happen. And then we'll we've got 7 trades left. And we'll have to have a look at how far off we are off an actual full squad or full premium team, I suppose. We're starting to get a couple of nice bench options there in Cookie and Birdo. I guess you add Hopgood into the mix. we're sort of okay in the forwards, probably one more. Or like I said, if we can get those two big guns, that would be amazing. Halves are obviously set, and then back line's pretty solid. So that's the NRL Fantasy side of things. In terms of the sports deck, as you can see, we scored 710 for the round, which has got us into the top 100 for the first time this season. So that's pretty exciting that we made a positive move in this space as well. Was a little bit concerned we wouldn't have the numbers, but I think we did end up landing on 13. So that's all we needed. Marshall King with a 63, that's really nice. That's why we brought Marshall King in, was to help us with this round in particular. Joey Tarpany with a 75, so that's really awesome, and I think was better than our captain and vice captain options. Again, same between Marshall King and Hopgood. Sean Kepi with a 47, so that was, I guess, a fairly unexpected, but good to see, his work rate lifted with Jake Travojevich's absence in the side. Hopgood with a 63 as our captain, so we didn't take Marshall King 63. So we'll take Hopgood, so that's fine. Olaquatu with 40. That's fine. Ford with 33 and Schuster with 36. That's making good cash for us. And then into the back line, because obviously we didn't have any halves playing. Lemuelu with his 59, solid as ever. Garrick 32. Asako with the 61, which is nice. Ponga 44, not clocks at 59. And we had Tristan Saylor in the end, just as a playing 1 week sort of option with 35, which I guess helped push us into the top 100, no doubt. So in terms of what we're going to do this week, we'll start by just moving all the players into position so we can get a full second row. Again, our halves are good. Gary can swap there. And we'll get Buller into the side. So in terms of our bench, not Schuster, he's not playing. We've got Burton and Grant are obviously locks. After that, obviously Harrison Edwards would be the next best shout. And then Oluwapu or Alamotti. Well, it's a bit of a 50-50, but we'll go Alamotti. Suppose unless we wanted to make a particular trade. And I guess, the theme along with the other teams is I am targeting Jacob Kiraz. But just looking at the team, I'm not quite sure who I want to trade out for him. I guess the option could be if we got out of Ford and cashed out on him, we swing Lemuelu into the second row for a bit. And then there we are, Jacob Kiraz. So we make 60k on that trade too. So that's not the worst shout, I don't think. So, I guess it's just 1-for-1. We've still got to play Alamotti. But I think that's fine. If we look at the players that are missing, Kepi's on the bye. Hopgood, Olaquatu, Schuster all on the bye. Hopgood's a definite keeper. I guess we could get out of Olaquatu perhaps. How much money have we got? Let's see if we can upgrade him. Yeah, I would have liked Nikora, but just out of budget, which is a bit flat. Yeah, Schuster's still making some money, so he's fine. Garrick, is a good option that we can swing, although we don't currently have the second piece to swing with him, but we'll work on that. And then, Ponga's going to still make some cash, I think. Sailor's obviously bottom dollar, so he doesn't help us too much if we trade him. So I think that's how we're going to line it up this week. Just the one trade, run the bare bones 17. I think that'll be fine. And I guess the running theme in terms of captain and vice captain, Hines and Cleary. So we like Sportsdeck because we can run the VC loophole. with these two guys. And we've got plenty of buy options as well. So after Hines plays on Saturday night, we could obviously get Garrick in or something, and Alamotti drop out. That's that sort of deal, in order to facilitate that. And yeah, so that's how it's all going with the other, I guess, NRL fantasy type games. Feel free to add a comment if you've got any thoughts on the teams or trades that you would make. I know someone else pointed out about the NRL Fantasy, that it's only the starting 13 that count. Anyone sitting on your bench doesn't get a gig, apparently. So I did have Jake Granville, for example. He was one I traded out last week. Um, I think he got traded to Fino from memory, just because, yeah, there was no point having him sit on the bench if he couldn't score points. So just something that I learnt thanks to, the power of YouTube. So yeah, so as I said, comment on the video, like the videos if you are enjoying this content. It helps me to work out, where to focus my energies. Subscribe to the channel if you are enjoying all of the content. And aside from that, I'll catch you in the next one.